My name is Jack Baisden, and I'd like to tell you what a great life I've had and what all the blessings that God has blessed me and my family with. Especially been in the insurance business for about 60 years, but then also playing softball for about 60 years. So I want to start telling you a little bit about my family first. My two grandpas were John Ed Baisden and John Wes Evans. Both of them were coal miners. Both of them had farms. Both of them raised cattle, raised a bunch of kids. They were good people. And then my mom and dad. My dad was Lucian Baisden. That was John Ed Baisden's son. My mother was Florence Evans. Her mom and dad was John Wes and Dixie Evans. The family probably had roughly 25 uncles, being blessed to know every one of them and their wives. I think we've had about 45 or 50 first cousins, been able to know each and every one of them. And the Evans, every year, ever since I was a kid, when it came Christmas time, we'd go down to John Wes Evans and Dixie's, had dinner, generally shuck beans we'd have. That was one of the main menus, was shuck beans. We'd have Santa Claus. We'd trade open gifts. So every year the Evans family got together. As a matter of fact, in July, the 1st of August, every year we still have a family reunion and have a great turnout. Now the Baisdens, they're not as close as the Evans, but all of them is good people, and they have a family reunion about once a year. But anyway, tell you about where I went to grade school. Went to grade school at Verdonville. They called it Curry Grade School at that time. And when I went to grade school, there was 4 or 5 grade schools up at Mud Fork. One was down at mouth of Mud Fork. One was up Dempsey Branch Hollow. One was at down here at 15 Company Store, where the old store used to be. I went to Curry Grade School, and then there was one on up the head of the holler, Avis. So at that time, all of us had to walk to school. There wasn't no riding a school bus. Now, if you went to Logan, junior high, naturally you'd ride the school bus. But we all had to walk, play tag, hit each other, call each other names and so forth, and it didn't take 5 minutes to get to school. And one day we was going to school, and I called this girl a bad name. Just how you playing with somebody and look over and just say something to them or that they didn't like. Well, the next morning, she told Miss Cook, that was my 5th grade teacher. She said, Jack called me a bad name yesterday. Well, Miss Cook called me up and she said, Jack, did you call Rosalie a name her yesterday? Yeah. Come up here. So come up there, and she got that paddle out. She tapped me just 2 or 3 licks on the butt. She said, Jack, if you'd have lied to me, boy, I was going to wear you out. But since you told me the truth, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to just give you a warning. Always remember to tell the truth. And ever since the 5th grade, I always remember that if you get caught doing something, tell the truth, and it won't be as bad. So Miss Cook was my 5th grade teacher, and then our principal was Rudy Marucci. Rudy was a big guy, and when we grew up, Rudy was a pretty good-sized fellow. But when we grew up, you couldn't eat enough pinto beans and cornbread and fried potatoes to be a big fat person. But Mr. Marucci was a pretty good-sized fellow. And got acquainted with him. He liked to hunt, he liked to fish, and we didn't have a playground. So he got Island Creek Coal Company to bring a bulldozer over there and level us out a playground. So we started playing softball at that time. That's the first time I ever got introduced to softball. Well, Mr. Marucci liked to hunt, and I did, and my dad did. So every year my dad and them would go down to Purdy Branch and go squirrel hunting. And I told Mr. Marucci, I'd like to go with him. He said, you with your dad? And I said, yeah, my dad, my grandpa, and 2 or 3 uncles. He said, I tell you what, Jack, if you're going with your dad, I won't mark you absent. I'll let you go, and you can go down there and hunt with them. And I said, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So then, after grade school, or during grade school, when I was in the 5th, 6th grade, that's when I learned to read and write, count money, and today I'm finding that very few kids can count change. A lot of these kids today can't write their name. A lot of kids today don't know how to tell time. Well, we learned all that when we was about the 5th or 6th grade. So thank the good Lord for the good education that I got while I was in grade school. The next, I guess, that after grade school, that's when I learned to drive. We had a gas station, and my dad always had a Jeep, one of them Willys Jeeps, and had the gear up on the steering wheel. I learned to drive on a Jeep when I was about in the 5th or 6th grade. And at that time, too, my dad and his dad decided to build a gas station, start a gas station at Mudford. Didn't have one. And finally, they got the gas station in, had Island Creek Coal Company, 28 mine right above us, and Daddy got the business of the gas. Every day or two, those twin-wheelers would come down there and fill up full of gas. And then on Saturday, we'd have to grease and oil change them. So I helped Daddy grease and oil change those trucks. Mom would work at the gas station. During the week, Daddy would work in the coal mine. So Mom and Dad always worked together. But like I said, I started driving when I was, I guess, 5th or 6th grade, however grade you was there. And before we had the gas station, Mother drove a school bus. Mother drove a school bus a while. At that time, Daddy was working in a coal mine. But then after the first child or two come along, Mom had to quit driving the school bus. Daddy then, when they went in, got the gas station started. So Mom and Dad really they were great people. Very good people, honest as could be, worked every day. And I can remember my mom going over to the gas station and having a bushel basket full of blue jean pants. Blue jeans, overhauls we called them. And back then, she had to iron every one of them. So Mom always had an ironing board set up at the gas station. She always had a sewing machine. Because occasionally some of these old boys that worked on pop trucks or whatever, maybe tear their clothes or whatever, and they'd come and say, Florence, I need you to attach give me a little bit of sewing job here. So Mom said, well, get over behind the counter and pull your pants off, buddy. So Mom, if you needed some sewing work done, Mom would do it. So Mom and Dad was a good people. And finally, about that time, I think my dad was drinking a little bit. And he told Mom, he said, Florence, he said, if we're ever going to have anything, I'm going to have to quit this drinking. Mom said, Dad quit drinking. And I guess for the next 70 years, he never drank a beer or anything. And Mom and Dad ended up doing pretty well because they raised 5 kids and sent a couple of them to college. So my Mom and Dad, when we was in grade school, everything was fine. But then, Mr. Marucci, like I say, at grade school, we started passing a little bit of softball. That's the first time I ever got to see a softball. And then a guy named Burgess Mathis called me and said, Jack, I'm getting a basketball team together, Little League, and if you play, I'd appreciate it. So we had a gym down there at the 16 store, and we got a team together and played a little bit. And finally, we played enough that we found a team that wanted to play us up at Ethel. So our first road trip was going to Ethel. This was in December or January when it was awfully cold. We got in the back of a pickup truck and went up to Ethel and played Ethel. And that's the first time I ever played a away basketball game, I said.
An organized game.
Organized game. And then, I guess the next step is going to junior high. going to junior high, and right. Back then in Logan, there were 6 junior highs. You had Holden, Omar, Logan, Chapmansville, Sharpless, and Man. And each year they had a junior high tournament. Well, in junior high, where I played basketball, is now where the Logan Bowling Center is. You know where the Logan Bowling Center is? Bowling Alley. Back when we grew up, it was called the Logan Armory. So in 1952, 53, and 54, Logan High School played their basketball games in the bowling alley down there. In that same year, 52, 53, and 54, our junior high team played in the bowling alley, which is a bowling alley now. And can you imagine having 6 teams and trying to have a junior high tournament, and I have no idea how we got all them people in there. But they had a junior high tournament there for me, well, all the 3 years as I was there. And one time we was having they had the junior high tournament, and at that time they had a pancake, the Kiwanis Club. So they tried to get everybody in town for the pancakes. And at that time, Holden Junior High had won the county championship. And Coach Drake was around there, and he was carrying the trophy, just around, you know, men in with the people. And this lady walked up to him and said, Coach, said, how many pancakes did you eat to win that trophy? I thought that was pretty good there. How many pancakes did you eat to win that trophy there? And we just laughed at him. So from junior high, went up to high school. In high school, I was in high school 55, 56, and 57. In 1955, Island Creek Coal Company had built a recreational building around at Holden for the people who worked for Island Creek. And nice gymnasium, standard size. So 55, 56, and 57, that's where Logan High School played the basketball games. So we played the basketball games up there, and they had a nice field house. And a couple things I remember playing basketball up to the field house. We played I guess 3 or 4 or 5 ball games, and a buddy on my team named Dickie Barber. Dickie had never got in a ball game, and Dickie was a good football player. And matter of fact, he had a chance to go to Notre Dame. And he did. He went out to Notre Dame, and he didn't make it. But anyway, while he was there, we'd played, I don't know, 3 or 4 ball games, and I come out and sitting on the bench. And Dickie said, Jack, he said, when that clock gets such and such a time up there, if Lily don't substitute me, I'm substituting myself. I said, he'll run you off. He said, well, I don't care, I ain't getting to play no way. Well, sure enough, at the other end of the floor, so Freddie Wagner, I believe, was shooting a foul shot. About that time, Dickie jumps up off the bench, takes his warm-up off and throws it down, and fans started, yeah. Coach Lilly looked at me and he said, what's that crazy fool trying to do? Go in there and get him out. After the ball game, Coach said, what would you do with a guy like that? I said, I don't know. I ought to run him off. I ought to run him off right now and get rid of him. But he said, you know, if he wants to play that bad, maybe I need to give him a chance. So the next ball game, he started Dickie. And Dickie ended up scoring in double figures and reboundings. But Dickie said, Jack, he said, now I know I ain't got no natural ability for that basketball. But he said, what I lack in natural ability, I make it up in this old ferocious desire. I thought that's a pretty good one coming from a high school kid. And the other thing that I remember playing high school is any of you people that's watching, you remember the 1992 Dream basketball team, the pro team that the United States put together to go. Up until then, Russia pretty much beat us, I think, regularly in the Olympics. Well, I think they got tired of getting beat, and they decided now we're going to get the best team that we can possibly get to play on the dream team, which they did. Well, one of those guys that was on the dream team happened to play. We had to play against him. He went over here to Princeton High School. So he came to town, and Coach was telling us how good this old boy was. That was when he was a sophomore or junior in high school, and he'd already won a couple state championships, and we knew we had our hands full. Well, we didn't think we could handle him, but Coach Jack said, you're a pretty good defensive guy. I'm going to let you start on him. This guy's named Rod Thorne. I'm going to let you start on him and see if you can handle him. Well, naturally, he's 4 or 5 inches taller than me, and I did the best I could, so we couldn't handle him. Well, finally, he put Dick Barber on him. Dick couldn't. Then put Foxy Handers, and he couldn't. Freddie Wagner, Bob, so all of us had a chance to see if we could slow him down and beat him there. So anyway, we ended up beating him about 5 or 6 points. So the thing I'm trying to say is he went up to West Virginia University, made All-American up there, made All-Pro. This guy's named Rod Thorne. Well, Rod Thorne happened to be on the 1992 Dream Team, and me and the other guys helped beat him. So how many guys watching this film today is going to be able to say we played against a guy on the Dream Team and we beat him? And when I was a sophomore in high school, a couple of buddies of mine was playing fast pitch softball around at Whitman. Esmond Curry and Grady Nelson. Island Creek had a league around there with about a dozen teams in it. And any community or anybody that worked for Island Creek could put a ball team in. Well, Mud Fork had a team, and we probably had at least a dozen teams in the league. Island Creek sponsored had the field. They furnished all the balls and bats, umpires, so forth. So I started playing fast pitch softball, and they put me at shortstop. I never played no shortstop before, but the league wasn't that strong, and I started playing a little bit of shortstop. Well, eventually ended up playing third base. And after that, the thing I remember most at playing third base, I guess, had a guy named, I forget his name, I'll think of it in a minute. He was a pretty good bunter. And I was playing third base, and I seen him shorten up the bunt. He shortened up the bunt, and the ball bounced. I took off towards the ball. The ball bounced up and hit me in the hand. I tagged him out before he got to first base. His name was Michael Neese. Michael said, "Jack, why'd you embarrass me for?" I said, "Man, I seen you trying to bunt and get on." And I thought, man, if I pick that ball up fast enough, I believe I can tag you out. So anyway, Michael said, "Jack, don't ever tell that on me. Don't tell that on me." I said, "I won't." But anyway, we played, I guess, 2 or 3 years. And Esmond, our pitcher, was playing for a team called Aracoma. And Esmond said, "Jack, said, why don't you go down there and play with us also?" And that way he was playing on 2 teams. I said, "Yeah, I'd like to." So went down there, and there was Darrell Maynard, Maisel Maynard, Ted Murray, Scott Ellis, Pug White, Bob Blankenship, and I can't think of the others right now. We started playing on that team. We called it Aracoma. Well, I was playing there. They put me out in center field, which was fine. So that we played there for a few years. And about that time, I was looking for a job, and I got a job selling potato chips. Ended up buying the potato chip truck, which was Gordon Foods. So I was selling potato chips from one place to the other all over the county. And back then, when I started on that potato chip route, there was roughly 70,000 people, might have been 80,000 people in Logan County at that time. So you're talking about stores and grocery stores and supermarkets and beer gardens, whatever. And in the city of Logan, there was between 25 and 30 beer gardens. We called them beer gardens back then. It sold beer. Well, I sold all of them: pickle hog's feet, hot sausage, potato chips, peanut butter, nabs. So back then, business was great because you had so many people that you could sell to. So the name was Gordon Foods. So them boys said, Jack, let's change your name to your basketball team and the softball team. Let's call it Gordon Foods. I said, okay. So we eventually got a uniform. You see, there's a saying here says Gordon Foods. So we got uniforms and started playing softball then under Gordon Foods. I was playing softball in Whitman League and also traveling with these other guys. And that went on for I don't know how many more years. And eventually, one of the guys on the softball team was in the insurance business, Darrell Maynard. And I says, Darrell, if you ever get a chance to recommend somebody, how about recommending me? He said, really? I said, yeah, recommend me, because if you're making the kind of money that you're making, I'd be lucky to make $20, $25 a day, and I'd like to give that a try. So he got me an interview with Mutual of Omaha. Mutual of Omaha hired me, sent me to Pittsburgh for National Sales Training School. And when it came back from school, then Darrell would take me out in the field and teach me how to sell. And on the first day we was out, we had first interview was a guy named Patrick Quisenberry, and wrote him a disability income plan. And we went and made another call up at Westmoreland Holler with a guy named Elmo Polly, and wrote him a disability plan. And Darrell said, Jack, you know how much money you made on them? I said, no. He said, he told me. And he said, we got one more call today. The lady wants to buy some life insurance, I believe. So we went down to this lady's house and talked to her, and she said, yeah, I'd like to have about $10,000 worth of life insurance. And Darrell said, well, that's about, I think, like $300 a year. She said, okay, I'll take it. So we wrote her a life insurance for $300. Well, on a life policy back then, we got 60% of the annual commission. So 6 threes is 18. I made $180 off that one policy plus the 2 disability plans. So I said, boy, this is the job I've been looking for. So finally, started full-time in the insurance business, but I had that potato chip route at the time. And Darrell said, what are you going to do with that? I said, I don't know, may give it away to somebody, but one of the boys that played ball with is Jim Lawson. I got Jim Lawson to start driving the truck for me, be working full-time with Mutual of Omaha, and that happened for maybe a year or two. And Bill Anderson down at Logan said, Jack said, would you like to sell that business? I said, yeah, I'd be interested in it. He said, just make me an offer and I might buy it. I said, well, how about $1,000? He said, I'll take it. So we gave him the truck and all the inventory for $1,000, and he put Joe C. Farrell was his driver. So that's how Joe C. Farrell got his start driving a Gordon potato chip truck. So as I said, I was playing fast pitch softball up at Whitman, and also playing fast pitch with a team called Aracoma, which later we turned the name to Gordon Foods. At that time, we had to win a county championship and a league tournament. We had to win either 2 tournaments, or might have been 3, before we could go to state tournament. So anyway, we had won the 2 games, and now we're playing against Westmoreland Coal Company. Westmoreland Coal Company back then had a good team, and how they made their team is the manager for Westmoreland's team was a boss for the coal mine. So if you were a good softball player, they gave you a job at the coal mine to play softball. So they had this pitcher named Doug Stover, and he was in the top probably 2 or 3 in the state. So now we had to play him in the finals up at Whitman to be able to go to the state tournament there. So the score, I think about the 15, I think was like 1-1 tied up or whatever. Maisel Maynard got on base in front of me. And we always had a signal that if Maisel was going to steal, he'd give me one finger. If he's going to do this or that, another finger. So I said, well, he's on first base. And he looked and he told me he's going to hit and run. So by the time Stover threw the ball, Maisel took off running. When the ball got to me, I hit the ball over left center fielder's head for a home run. And when I circled the base, we beat Westmoreland 2-1. That put us in the state tournament. So in the state tournament, we went to Parkersburg. But before this one, the year before in '61, we was runners-up in the state championship. And we was playing up in some part of the West Virginia, I don't remember where it was, and we was doing a good job. The ball game was just nick and tuck through about 4 or 5 innings. And finally the umpire said, "Hey, timeout, timeout. We're going to have a greasy pig race." The guy said, "What? We're going to have a greasy pig race." Well, there ain't nothing we could do except call timeout. So sure enough, we had the greasy pig race. And after about 30 minutes, the game got restored. Well, seemed like we never could get started back up then, and end up was runners-up in '61 in the state tournament there. And I got a trophy over here in '61 where we won the state runners-up, and I got the ball. Even got the ball over here for the '61. But in '62, then that's when we beat Doug Stover and went to Parkersburg. We were playing in City Park up there, and down the left field line, it was 320 feet. And I hit a ball over the left field fence, foul, over the 320-foot fence. In that same ball game, it was about 350 or 360 to center field. I hit a ball, I think it was 354 feet to center field, and the guy caught it and run into the fence. And found out later, he said that this guy had played some AAA baseball, so he was an excellent outfielder. But here I done hit 2 balls. It was over 300 feet. One was fouled. The guy caught the other one. And at that time, I probably wasn't much more weight than what you are. Might have weighed 135 or 40 pounds. So the point is, I don't think that you have to be a great big guy to hit a long ball. Because if you look at Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and them guys didn't weigh 175 or 80 pounds. So here I was about 140 pounds at the most, 145, and hit some that far and was caught. But anyway, in the last inning there, I think we was tied up with a team out of Charleston, and it was up ahead. We was ahead of them 2-1 in the last inning. They had bats. And I remember Bill Payne hitting the ball towards left center, and had it got through, they would have scored and beat us. I run the ball down and caught it for the last out. So we ended up winning our first championship with Gordon Foods in and got some pictures there and over here. 1962, we won our first state championship, and I was picked as the all-star, all-state center fielder, and got a nice little trophy there. I think it's sitting in front of me in that picture there. So then, by winning the state championship, we got to go to Hamilton, Ohio, and play in what they call the Eastern United States Regional Tournament. Now, these were the big boys that we was playing against now, and if we'd have won this tournament, we'd have been in the World's Tournament. But anyway, I don't remember the teams that we played, but we played a 13-inning game and a 19-inning game the same evening. A 13 and a 19-inning game the same evening, which is unheard of. We won one, we lost one. And the one that we lost, I don't remember what the score was, but we had an out at second base. And our second baseman said, "Jack, we had the guy out." Our third baseman said he was definitely out. Well, the umpire, he didn't call it our way. He called the guy safe. Well, anyway, the guy's on second base, and that should have been the third out, and we'd have won the ball game. But instead of, the next batter or two got a hit or two and beat us. Beat us 1 run in one of them 13 inning, either 13 or 19 inning games. So that was unheard of. You play a 19 inning game and a 13 inning game the same evening and get beat on a bad call at first base or second base, really, yeah. National cable and Gene Hyrosky store had a team called it National Cable and Hyrosky's. But anyway, they won the state championship, and my brother Jerry played on it. And they asked me to go with them to Kimberly, Wisconsin. And T.K. Killen and Gene Hyrosky rented a bus. They rented a bus, paid all the expenses up there and back, and even let us take her family. You wasn't on that, was you?
I was football practice.
Yeah. But anyway, me and my wife went, and the whole team was on a chartered bus, went up there. And one of Gene Hyrosky's brother owned a bar, and they was going to give us a corn roast that evening. So we had hamburgers and corn roast, and they put this corn on a with charcoal and put a cover over it, put water on it, steamed it. I don't know what to call it. They steamed that with the shuck on it. And man, when you took that ear of corn out of there, and they had a big thing with butter in it, and stick that thing down in there, you talk about a good ear of corn, that was one of the best probably we ever ate. And my Uncle Rod, we took Rod Baisden with us, and Rod wasn't much of a ball player, but anytime you wanted to go someplace or do anything, he would go with you. We got Rod a uniform, and he dressed up just like one of the ball players. And this is, they said that Rod ate 15 ears of corn. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but he ate a whole lot of corn. But at that time, like I say, National Cable and Gene Hyrosky sponsored a team and took care of them there. Mutual of Omaha offered me a job in Huntington as assistant manager. So I went down to Huntington there and was down there, I think, for 5 years. And while I was down Huntington, we started, teams that we had played against was Dick's Place out of Huntington. So when they found out that I was in town, they called me and said, "Jack, why don't you play ball with us this year?" And I, sure enough, I will. So I started playing with Dick's Place in Huntington. And the two things that I remember the most is one time we was playing a team down in Portsmouth. Portsmouth at that time had a stadium down there, and we was playing in a softball tournament there. And I remember leadoff batter, I hit a ball down the right field line that the right fielder should have caught it, and he didn't. Ended up on third base. So I was on third base as a leadoff batter. Next batter up was Kip LaFawn. Kip laid down a bunt, and I scored. Got Kip out at first, but I scored the one run. Well, ended up both pitchers pitched a no-hitter, and we beat them 1-0. Scored the first run in the ball game. Both pitchers pitched a no-hitter. That's the first time I can ever remember of anybody, both pitchers pitching a no-hitter in the same game there. And then they had a tournament going on up in Chillicothe, Ohio. And Jack Jr. was, I don't know how old Jackie was at that time, but took Jackie with me. So we went to Chillicothe, and we was playing against a Charleston team. Big Junior Thomas, big left-handed pitcher. And in that tournament, they was giving away a jacket for anybody to hit the most home runs. Well, I hit a home run out of the ballpark, and it was 260 feet to center field. My ball went over the light pole, which had to be somewhere close to 300 feet, and landed out there in a building that bounced up against something, wherever. But that ball had to be at least 350 feet, I would say. And here I was again, didn't weigh 135, 40, 50 pounds. And again, you don't have to be the biggest guy on the team to hit a long ball. Well, my home run was the only one that went out of the ballpark, and they gave me the jacket for the most home runs. So that was the two things that I could remember that playing with the Huntington team. And then now, After I was down there, I think 3 or 4 years, I got promoted to Chillicothe, Ohio. Went up there, was a manager with Mutual of Omaha, and started playing with Ohio team that we'd played with and against these old boys, and played 3 or 4 years. And in 1975 or 76, 77, somewhere around there, I was making over $50,000 a year, had a brand new car to drive, all expenses paid for, had an office new office, all the expenses was paid, and I was training guys, and you couldn't find guys to hire, and I just got tired of trying to find guys to work. I called the company up and I said, "John Gall," I said, "this is Jack Baisden." "Yeah, how you doing, Jack?" I said, "I want you to come to Chillicothe and get this job and stick it up your you-know-what." He said, "What's the matter with you, buddy?" And I said, "I've had the lick. I'm ready to quit. Quicker you can get somebody here, I'm headed back to Mud Fork." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm going back to a place called Mud Fork." He said, "Where's that at?" I said, "It's in Logan, West Virginia." I said, "The quicker you get somebody here, I'm leaving. I'm just tired of management." He said, "Well, we don't want to lose you. What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to go back there and be the best agent for somebody else." He said, "No, we don't want to lose you." I said, "Well, make me an offer." And they made me an offer. I come back to Mutual of Omaha in Logan and been a Mutual of Omaha agent here ever since. And I made a whole lot more money than $50,000 a year. And the guy told me one time, he said, "Jack," he said, "if you're dumb enough to work on commissions," he said, "just about anybody will hire you." Well, Mutual of Omaha hired me and put me on commission. And I tell you what, a commission job, if you've got something to sell and you'll work, you can make some money. And I made a pretty good living selling Mutual and United of Omaha products for 60 years. So we moved back here just about 1980, I guess it was. But while we were in Chillicothe, let me tell you a few things. Jack Jr. and Mick both were pretty good athletes. And as a matter of fact, Jack Jr. won a state championship in Ohio in the 440-yard dash. And when you run against these black kids from these large cities, you are talking about some competition. And I mean competition. In the county, Jack never lost a race in the county. And then we went to a regional tournament, and Jackie won that. And finally went to Ohio State, and that's where the football team is. And it's like 70,000 people there. Not 70, that was 40-some thousand. 40-some thousand. And Jackie won the state championship there in the 440. And I forget what the time was, 49.9, I believe. And he was the only kid at his school, which was Paint Valley High School, that had ever won a state championship in anything. And Jackie was the first kid to go and win a state championship in track. Now, like I say, when you beat these kids from these large cities, you take not Chillicothe, but Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, and these large towns, you're talking about a whole lot of kids, and I mean good, fast kids, and Jackie won. Well, they sent me a letter trying to get a hold of Jackie to see if he wanted to go to Germany and run in the Junior Olympics. And I said, "Yeah, buddy, how much?" They said, "Well, we need $300. I said, "Okay." So we give him the money, and Jackie got to go to Germany and run in the Junior Olympics. And how many countries did you run in?
Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Lithuania.
So Jackie was on the United States Junior Olympic team over there running track. So that was the highlights, I guess, of our days in Chillicothe, is me moving back and Jackie winning the state championship. So we moved back to Logan, I think, approximately 1980. And Jack and Mick said, "Dad said, I'd like to play some ball too." I said, "Well, let's get us a team." He said, "Jack said, well, I'd like to pitch." I said, "Well, you're the pitcher then, buddy. If you get beat 10-0, 20-0, you got to take it." He said, "That's all right." So we decided to get us a fast pitch softball team. Well, we got Jack and Mick, Mark Porter, first base. Chip Porter was first base. Mark Porter was second. Brad Sharp was shortstop. I played third. Mick played left field. Boy that was a lawyer went to Dino Moreto, and John Evans, and Schoolhouse, Jimmy Latakis, Brian Furrow, Greg Keaton. Anyway, we got together, some boys that they'd played high school baseball with and so forth, so we decided to get us a team. Jackie wanted to play, and I thought, man, yeah, I still want to play. So we got a pretty good softball team together, but we didn't have nobody to play. So me and Jim Winkler and 2 or 3 guys got together, and they had a team. So we ended up, I think, like 6 teams on the island that we could play each other, and I think it was like 2 nights a week. And one game I remember we playing, I forget who it was, I could mention his name, but I don't want to embarrass him. We had 7 triples in a 5-inning game. And Jim Lawson said, Jack, I believe we got a world's record there. We tried to check it out and couldn't find it. But anyway, 7 triples in a 5-inning game, and I remember having 2 of them. So if you ever played much ball and you hit 7 triples in a 5-inning game, if you hit 2 or 3 triples in a ball game, that was pretty good. But anyway, we started playing these teams up north. Then every weekend we'd go up there and play 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, and come back. So we started traveling league, and had a good time doing it. And during that time, we won either 2 or 3 state championships, wasn't it? So with Jackie pitching, we won 3 state championships. And Mick playing with us too. Mick was one of our better hitters. So we won the West Virginia State Championship 2 or 3 times, but in 1992, we won it again, and we got an invitation to go to Salt Lake City, Utah to play in the World's Tournament. Now that is big, big, big. Now you're taking on professional teams. So we got out and bummed enough money, asked them donations and so forth, and got enough money to fly to Salt Lake City, Utah, and play in the World's Tournament. And the first night, we was the first game. And naturally, they always put, I think, the weakest team against the best team. And we had to play Larry Miller Toyota, and that was the guy that owned the Utah Jazz. He was quite wealthy. And this pitcher that we were going to face worked at the Delta Center taking up tickets, and we were told they was paying him $150,000 a year to play softball and pick up tickets at the Delta Center. This guy, his name was Peter Meredith. Peter Meredith. And Peter Meredith was probably about the biggest guy we've ever seen. He's probably 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", and I mean, he was a big guy. Now, you talk about could throw it, he could throw it. So Mark Porter was letting Mark, I think, lead off, and Mark said, we can hit him. When I get up there to plate, I'll tell you what we can do. So one went by Mark, and Mark said he didn't even see it. So he sent the signal back like, boys, we're in trouble. We're in trouble with this guy. So anyway, they end up beating us, but we never made an error in the tournament. And they had probably the best leadoff batter in the world. It was called Avon Mitchum, a little black guy that looked like he was about 5'4", batted left-handed. Well, with me playing third base, I was moved in about 4, 5, or 6 steps in front of third base. Too close. I thought, well, he ain't going to bunt me because I was 50-some years of age, and I knew he going to do his best to bunt me and get on base. So sure enough, I was played in there real close, and he hit one by me out there. It was foul. The coach come up there and said, hey, old man. He said, get your ass up behind this bag. He said, we ain't going to be bunting you. I said, buddy, I appreciate that, because he knew I was going to get hurt. But then the next night, we had to play the best team out of Canada, wasn't it? It was. And you remember his name, the pitcher?
Brad Underwood.
The pitcher was named Brad Underwood. Big left-hander, wasn't he? Big left-hander. Well, these guys were paid ball players. We were just a bunch of guys that got together and ended up with a good team. But anyway, we got to go to the World's Tournament and play them 2 games. Well, while we were there, getting ready to play, I guess before the second game, Chipper Porter said, Jack said, you want to stay another couple of nights? I said, we would if we had the money. He said, oh, don't worry about the money. He said, me and Mark and John, we're going out here to these casinos tonight, and we'll win enough money. We can stay a couple of days. So I went ahead and got reservations. I went ahead and booked reservations because if these boys were going to bring the money back, we were going to stay a couple of days and watch some more tournament. Well, the next morning, knock on the door pretty early. And I said, who is that? This is Chipper. I said, why you want? Well, get up. He said, you make them reservations? I said, yeah. He said, you just go ahead and cancel them. I said, what's the matter? He said, we went out there and them guys must have seen us a-coming because, man, they cleaned us. We didn't have enough money to get back to the place. What was the punchline on that?
It was in Wendover, Nevada.
Wendover.
Is where, when you go in, it said, welcome to Wendover. He said, but when you was coming out of there, the sign, thank you for stopping at Bendover, Nevada.
They got bent over, and naturally we stayed the 2 games out there, and that was probably the highlight. Well, that was one of the highlights of my career. But while we were there, also the team out of Florida, the Clearwater Bombers, and I mean this was the New York Yankees of fast pitch softball. So after the season was over, they called me and said, hey, Mr. Baisden, said, how would you guys like to come to Florida and play us? And I said, yeah, man, we'd be happy to. So during the winter, we got out and got enough money together, donations and whatever, had enough money to fly to Florida. So we took these same boys to Florida and played the Clearwater Bombers. And like I say, they are the... Matter of fact, they had already won 10 world championships, hadn't they? Yeah. So again, they put you against the best pitcher they had, and they beat us. And then I don't know if it was that game or the next game we played, and the second best pitcher, and Mick hit one.
Rob Scheller.
Rob Scheller was the pitcher, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Rob Scheller threw one there. Mick hit it plumb out of Clearwater Stadium. I think they're still looking for the softball on that one. But anyway, we lost the 2 games. But again, we got to play the world's best softball in that particular age there. That was a highlight, I guess, of all these boys' the career and so forth. And it was for me too, playing fast pitch. Well, about that time, fast pitch was dying. We didn't have nobody to play.
What did Chipper Porter say when that guy hit that ball by him?
Oh, this is in the World's Tournament. Chipper was playing first base. And the guy, big left-hander, hit a ball by Chipper so fast. Chipper said, boys, he said, when he come into the dugout, he said, boys, he said, when that ball went by me, that ball was a hissing. John Evans was playing right field. He said, Chipper, when it got to me, it was still hissing. That was pretty funny. Some of the things that the boys say and do, but how great that was with the guys that we had to be able to play against some of the world's best in fast pitch. And then in 92 or 93, fast pitch just dead. We didn't have nobody to play. And at that same time, some guys from Charleston called me and said, hey, Jack, you still playing a little bit of ball? I said, yeah, why? He said, how'd you like to go to the Senior Olympics next year? I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, we're having the Senior Olympics next year, and we're getting up a softball team to go to Salt Lake, San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio, Texas, yeah. I said, count me in. Well, some of these guys, this is guys between 55 and 60, had to be 55 and over to play. So sure enough, we had some guys that we'd played fast pitch down through the years and gathered them all up. And then during the winter, there was a church over there that one of the guys that played with us had a big gymnasium. So during the winter, we went over there 2 or 3 times a week, just trying to stay in shape and so forth. Then when springtime came, we got out, take batting practice and blah, 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 and so forth. So when the time came, we flew to San Antonio, Texas, and played in our first Senior Olympics. And they run the Senior Olympics just like they do the Olympics today. I mean, all the teams together, walk in at the same time, they have music, entertainment, and so forth. So we played our first Senior Olympics. And while we were there, I told them boys, I said, boys, let's go out to the track meet. The women are running. Let's go out there and watch some of these old women run. So sure enough, me and Kurt Akers and somebody, I don't remember who it was, went out to the track meet. And about the time we went into to Alamo Stadium, the gun popped and the women took off running. And the first thing I heard somebody holler said, "Come on, Grandma, come on, Grandma, come on, Grandma." Never heard that in my life. And that was the thing that we took away from the Olympics there. And then after that, we ended up playing in 6 more Olympics. Next one, I think, was Tucson, Arizona. We got a list of them someplace there. Pittsburgh, Louisiana, Virginia Beach. So we ended up playing in 6.
Long Beach or they played California?
California. Anyway, we ended up playing in 6 Senior Olympics, and we never won one of them, but we ended up second in the last one at down in Kentucky. And we'd have won that one down there, but we took about 15 ball players with us, and you're talking about some of these guys were 60-some. We had 2 or 3 injuries. When it come down to the final game, we didn't have enough guys to play. So we would have won that one if all of our ball club was stayed there. Yeah. So time out again. Time out. Give all my time, or give all the credit to Red Jones on senior softball. He got the team up and took us to the Olympics, was our coach. He was the third base coach. He kept score. And then while we were there, we got acquainted with some other teams, so we had put together a traveling team. 55 and over, was 55 to 59, 60 to 64, 65 to 69, and so forth. So it takes you a while to get enough of those guys to be able to play that's physically able to play. So finally, we got a good group of guys and ended up playing in 17 different states. And when I was 65 to 69, we had probably our best team. And I think there's about 6 or 7 guys that turned 65 the same year. So now we're playing against guys 65 to 69. And at 65 to 69, we won 4 world tournaments, and I was most valuable player in 2 of them. One of them was in Manassas, Virginia, and that was in 2004. And I can remember that one. They beat us one, and we had beaten them one, so now somebody's got to beat the other one twice. So I think that's the way it was. Anyway, we played them again. In the first game that we played them, had to beat them twice, yeah. First game, I was leadoff batter and hit a home run. And we never scored another run in that ball game. Leadoff batter hits a home run and never scored in another game. So now we're playing now that we're even. Whoever wins the next game wins. Winner takes all. So we played them again, and in that game, I'm pretty sure I hit another home run, scored 2 or 3 runs. We ended up beating them. I don't know what the score was, but we beat them in the finals. I remember Jack Abshire pitching, and the last out, throwed the ball in there. Naturally, we get this guy out, the ball game's over. So Jack throws one in there, and the guy hit a bullet right towards Kurt Akers. Kurt catches it, game's over. We beat him, and I was the most valuable player in that one. So that was my highlights playing softball. I played fast pitch softball for 37 years. Then after fast pitch died, I started playing slow pitch and played it for another 23 years. So 60 years of playing ball, and all the time during that time, in the 60s, we had a Gordon Foods basketball team. I forgot to mention that one. Got it on there? Yeah. So we had a league down on the island of guys that graduated from high school playing basketball. I think they'd be 35 and over. And we had a good team. I had Darrell Maynard, Maisel Maynard, Don Hall, myself, Wimpy Meade, Clovis Aggins, Woody Adams, and I forgot who the next one was, but we just had a good basketball team and was playing against other teams in the league. And I think we went 6 years in a row and never lost a game. And finally in '62, Willie Akers came to Logan. You remember Willie Akers, the basketball coach? And Willie, we played against him in high school, and he wore us out over there, the high school he went to. I remember going over there and playing, and they beat us bad. He went up to West Virginia University and played with Jerry West. But anyway, he's also playing pro basketball for the Cleveland Pipers, I believe it was. And I think the guy that owned the New York Yankees owned the basketball team. But anyway, Willie got a chance to come to Logan as the basketball coach. Well, he was playing in the league with us or against us, and we was getting ready to play him, and I said, "Willie, why don't you play with us?" I said, "We ain't got no big guy." And he said, "No," he said, "I'm going to play for these professors." I said, "Well, we don't have a big guy." And he said, "Well, we knew that if Willie played against us, he's going to wear us out." We knew we didn't have a chance of beating him. We was undefeated. I said, "Well, you ought to play it." "No," he said, "I'm going to play with these guys." I said, "Okay." Well, when the score ended up, we scored 100 and some points. Willie and them beat them 100 and some to 60 some. Beat them 40 some points. Willie said, "Jack, where'd you guys go to college?" I said, "Man, we ain't got no college guy on our team." He said, "You're kidding me." And I said, "No." He said, "I tell you what, after this season's over, I'll play with you." And we did. We got some tournaments after the season. He played with us there. But then he got the basketball job at Logan. And he hired Maisel Maynard, who was our coach. Maisel was coaching at junior high. And when Maisel had the junior high team, our Gordon Food team was go up there and even play against his boys just to help them. But Willie hired Maisel as his coach. And Maisel, all we played was run and gun. Whoever got the rebound, you throwed it out to the guy that's on the side or in the middle, and down the floor you go, and somebody else is running too. And that's how we scored so many points, just run and gun, run and gun. And Willie, I'm sure, found out that's the way to play. With Maisel coaching and say, "Hey, listen, this is the way to play it." Willie said, "That sounds good to me." So that's how the running Wildcats got started. It's 1962 when Willie seen how we played, and Maisel became his assistant, and that's how they played. So that's how the running Wildcats got their name back in '62, is when we beat Willie and them in the league tournament, not league tournament, but in the league ball game down there. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. In 19 and remember what year it was?
About 2000.
Anyway, 3 or 4 years ago.
It was actually 2018.
2018, I got inducted into the West Virginia Sports Hall of Fame over at Beckley. So we went over there, and man, you'd be surprised of how many older guys that was in the Hall of Fame, how many people was there. It was really several hundred or few thousand, I guess you could say. And Rod Thorne happened to be the guest speaker. And that was the guy that got the 1992 Dream Team together, and the one that played at West Virginia, and the one that we played up at Holden Fieldhouse. So when I got up there and introduced myself to him, I said, "This is Jack Baisden, Logan High School, 1957. He said, "I didn't like that floor down there that we played on." I said, "Well, yeah, you didn't like it because we wore you out. We beat you, didn't we?" So that was the thing, take away from the Hall of Fame there.
Yeah, that was a great honor to be inducted into that. With Rod Thorne there, Jerry West is in the Hall of Fame there, Randy Moss. I mean, there's...
So I think, I don't know right offhand, oh yeah, a couple other things. Turn back on there. In 1957, in Logan, that's the first time that Logan High School and Aracoma High School ever played each other. This happened to be in a basketball game. Back then, they had a tournament, I forget what to call it now, a sectional tournament. There was 4 teams in it: Aracoma and Man, Logan and Chapmansville. Well, we drew Aracoma on the first night, I guess it was, and we beat them, I don't know, 5 or 6 points. But the ball game was close all the way through and so forth, but we ended up beating them a few points. And I got a picture on the wall behind me there I'd like for you to show in a few minutes of me and I believe it's Finest Brandon maybe a jumping ball. Back then when you had a tie-up, instead of taking the ball out, the two had to jump. And I was always pretty good leaping, and you can see where I was getting the jump on Finest there. So we beat Aracoma in the sectional tournament. And then the next night, we had to play Chapmanville. Chapmanville beat us. They had beaten Man, so now they beat us. And it went 60 years before Chapmansville beat Logan again. Because I heard this on the radio not too long ago, it's been a few years ago, and they said that this is the first time that Chapmansville had beat Logan in 60 years. And now, about every year, they kind of thump us a time or two. And then, back, I don't know what year it was, but about the time the girls' softball was getting started in Logan County, we were, myself, Joaquin Eaton, Jack, and I don't know, a bunch of us got together and was trying to help those girls, teach them this, teach them that. And we wanted to get somebody in to put on a show, I guess you could say. So the guys named, what's his name there? Eddie Feener, and they call him the what?
The king in his court.
The king in his court. So the king in his court of softball was Eddie Feener. Now this guy traveled the world, not the country. He traveled the world putting on a show. He only had his catcher, himself a pitcher, a first baseman, and a shortstop. So he only had four guys on the team. And he'd pitched against, well, matter of fact, I seen it the other day. I seen a preview where he was pitching against Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and some of those guys. And naturally, those guys wasn't hitting him because he was closer playing fast pitch than you would be slow pitch or baseball. So he was striking them out and at you and so forth. Well, I was still playing fast pitch at that time, and we was helping those girls, and I was still being able to play a little bit of ball, hit the ball. So I was taking batting practice with them girls, or maybe hitting to them, whatever. So we was trying to get somebody out of the stands to come and let him pitch to them. Well, he's one of those guys, he could stand on second base and put a handkerchief over his face and throw the ball to the catcher right down the middle, strike you out even, as fast as he could throw it. Then he had another play that put you on first base. And he said, now listen, about the time I get ready to wind up, you take off like you're going to steal second base. So sure enough, we had a runner out there, and about the time he'd done that, the guy threw the ball, throwed it behind his back like that, throwed it to first base. Got the guy out, and everybody got a laugh and so forth. So then we was trying to get somebody out of the stands to come and bat. Well, I was hoping Jeff Swanner would, because Jeff Swanner was a slow pitch hitter, the best I ever saw at slow pitch, and I thought if Jeff get a hold of one, Jeff hit one plumb off the island. Well, he wouldn't. Nobody else would. Well, Jack, you get up there then. I said, well, I'll get up there and get a cut at him. With the first pitch he threw in there, I fouled it off. I said, uh-oh. Fouled that one off. Give me a little bit of confidence. I got ready again. Next pitch he threw, I hit it over the right center field, hit it down right center field, and you only had the first baseman and a pitcher and the shortstop. So before they could recover the ball, I scored it. So I hit a home run off of the king in his court, which was unheard of. So I guess that was that was another highlight of my career, is hitting a home run off the king in his court there. In 1955 or 1956, that's when I met the love of my wife Sue Ann. Back then, there was a little dance place up at Switzer called Waldo's. And right above Waldo's was a skating ring. And every Friday night and Saturday night, kids from all over these and around the county would come up there dancing. Some of them go to doing roller skating. But anyway, I happened to be at Waldo's that night, and I was standing there and looking and seeing this good-looking gal, and she had a dark complexion. And very few people had dark complexion back then because they didn't lay out in the sun, and she was just a little on the dark side. And she really stood out because she had a tight sweater on. And once you see her, you say, yeah, she did stand out, didn't she, Jack? So I would decide, man, I'd like to go over and dance with her, but she was dancing with one of her friends, her Gloria Lester. So finally, after they quit dancing, or the music was over, I went over and I said, lady, I said, girl, how about dancing with me? She said, man, I was hoping you would. She said, I've had my eye on you too. And I thought, well, So we danced a little bit and pulled her up real close, and I could see that she was warming up to me and I was warming up to her, and just kind of fell in love with her all of a sudden. So we dated a little while longer, and in 1957, we got married. 1957, we got married. We joined the Marietta Baptist Church, and we've been members at the Marietta Baptist Church up there now since 1957. And we've had 4 kids. First one was a little girl named Kimberly, and Kimberly only lived 6 months and 14 days, I think it was, and passed away with a vomiting and a diarrhea. And back then, the doctors didn't know how to do anything with this vomiting and diarrhea, so she passed away. Then came Jack Jr., and man, I was happy to see Jack. And then my daughter Kara came along, and Mick, another boy, and I said, oh my God, I was a Mickey Mantle fan, and I'm going to name Mickey Mantle Baisden. So we ended up with the 3 children there. And then came along, we ended up with 4 grandsons. Had Jack Trey Baisden, Cody Baisden, Lexi Baisden, Nicholas Baisden, and Nathan Baisden. So that was my family, the 4 grandkids and my 2 or 3, and my lovely wife. And my wife's still in love with me today. She tells me all the time just how much she loves me and how much that she was glad I asked her to dance that night. I guess that's it for the time being. My wife, as you know, is Sue Baisden, and what a great life Sue Ann and me's had. Want to thank my wife for staying at home and being at home while I was away, always playing softball, doing something. So I told my wife just recently, I said, son, I hope something don't happen to you before me, because if something happened to you, I'm in trouble. But if something happened to me, you could make it. We had 4 kids. Our first one, Kimberly, she lived, I think, 6 months and 21 days, or just a few months, took a vomiting and a diarrhea. Had it one evening, died the next day there. And then we had Jack Jr. I think I've told you a little bit about Jack Jr., but Jack is he's got a successful business, 4-season country store. So I think I've already told something about him in the past, or I think on that. But my daughter Kara, we got a daughter Kara. She graduated from Logan High School, went to Marshall, got a degree down there, went to Ohio and got a job at the College Vocational School, worked there until she retired. And now she is retired, and her and her husband Doug live down in Ohio. And then comes the grandkids. Trey, I guess Trey's the oldest. That's Jack's boy. He went to Marshall, got a good education, and now he's working for the federal government in Washington, D.C. And he married a little lady named Laura. She's a very sharp little gal, and both of them live in Washington, D.C. They don't have any children. Both got a good job, and life seemed to be pretty good for them there. And my granddaughter, Lexi. Lexi had just graduated from high school a year or so ago. And this past year, she graduated from Southern West Virginia Community College down here as a registered nurse. So she's currently working as a registered nurse. And then Cody, that's Mick and Niwana's son Cody. He's a coal miner, so he hadn't really got lined up yet to do what he wants to do, but he's a coal miner right now. Then it brings me to my little grandsons, Nicholas and Nathan. Nicholas and Nathan, that's Jack and Laura's boys. And shortly after birth, when they was 4, 5, or 6 years of age, they both developed muscular dystrophy. And I want to thank Jack and Laura for the great life that they had provided for them boys. There wasn't anything them boys wanted to do or didn't do, whatever, that Jack and Laura didn't do whatever they possibly could to help them there. Well, they liked baseball, and New York Yankees was their favorite team. So Jack got us tickets, and we went to Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, watched the Yankees play. I think it was Detroit. We happened to sit in left field, and just right down the left field, just looking straight down, they were taking batting practice. And I don't know, the balls were hit over the fence, and we got several. Probably left there, I bet, with a dozen baseballs. So them boys had a chance to go to Yankee Stadium and watch a baseball game. And then later on, we took them to Cleveland. Took them to Cleveland again and let them watch a baseball game. So Laura and Jack did anything and everything they possibly could to make life as well, as good as they possibly can. And then Jack likes to hunt, and Nathan did too. Every time Jackie wanted to go hunting, Nathan wanted to go with him. So that happened a few times, but then finally we were in a place that we couldn't get his wheelchair in. And I said, this ain't going to work. I said, Nathan, if you and Jack will get together, draw us up a plan, we'll build a hunting cabin for you boys. And we did. So finally we got the Amish people to put it under roof. Boyd Baisden, his two boys, done all of the drywalling. Ralph Kirk and his brother Roger and all of us, we helped put the electricity and the water in. And we got a 48-foot porch on the back up there and the 48-foot on the front. Well, we would let Nathan, especially Nicholas didn't care about shooting anything, but Nathan did. So we'd let Nathan go out on the back porch, and them boys would, deer, whatever was out there, they'd let Nathan shoot it. I told Nathan, I said, Nathan, if you go to jail, don't worry, Papa will come and get you out. So it's hard to tell how many or whatever Nathan shot out there off the back porch. I didn't want to know, and I didn't want nobody to tell me what happened. Because as long as it made him happy, it tickled me to death. And Nicholas and Nathan both lived till they was about 25 or 26 years of age and passed away. And that was Jack Jr. and Laura's two boys. And Trey was their brother, naturally. So that was my grandsons and my daughter-in-laws. Jack and Mick, you guys could not have chosen a better wife, and a better person to be your wife. Jack Jr., his wife is named Laura. Mick's wife is Naiwana. And I'm telling you, that I got two of the greatest, best daughter-in-laws that anybody could have. They work every day. They provide for their family. And I couldn't be more proud than my grandkids and their moms and dads there. And somebody else I need to thank. It's Darrell Maynard. Darrell Maynard and me played softball together, played basketball together, one of the finest athletes you ever played with. And I was working on my potato chip truck. Back then I had a route, I was selling potato chips and candy to grocery stores and blah, 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 and so forth. So one thing that I always remember, I walked in this store down at Mud Fork there, right below Charlie Bunch's. There was a grocery store there, Clark's Grocery. Well, I had a wire basket and had 3 or 4 boxes of candy in it. So I walked in and I set this basket up on the counter like that, and I stepped back, and there was a lady standing there. And I looked down at her feet, and I said, lady, here's 2 $50 bills. Is this yours? She said, oh, God, no, it ain't mine. I said, well, Miss Clark, I said, here's 2 $50 bills. And Miss Clark said, oh, my God, Jack, I'm trying to figure out who's been in here in the last few minutes would have dropped that. Well, I stopped back at the store a day or two later, and she said, Jack, nobody's claimed that yet. She said, when you come back Wednesday, if somebody hasn't claimed that, I'm going to give that to you. I said, what? Now, $100 back in about 1960 was probably equal to $1,000 today. I mean, it was a lot of money. Well, that was just about the time our baby was born, so I used that $100 to pay the doctor's business. So sometimes I think God puts you in a certain place at a certain time that maybe to test you, but just something that you'll always remember. Do unto others as you'd have them to do unto you. And when I gave that to her, and she said, Jack, I can't remember who's been in here in the last few minutes. I said, oh my goodness. But anyway, Daryl Maynard recommended me. He was working with Mutual of Omaha. And he got me an interview, and I think I talked about this earlier there. But I want to thank Daryl, because had he not recommended me, I don't know how life would have turned out for me. But by recommending me to Mutual of Omaha, we've made a good living, and you can't imagine it, the people that I have helped with claims. And 3 or 4 comes to mind. I'll tell you real quick. I had 3 preachers that I had sold $100,000 each to each one of them, life insurance. And they all passed away. I don't know exactly when, but they never lived a long life. So there was 3 preachers that we had insured that we paid out $100,000 to. And one that stands out in my mind is a guy named Bobby Belcher. Lived over in Boone County around Ball Knob. However, I don't know how I got the name. But anyway, I went to his house, and he said, Jack, he said, I'm buying a house, and I need $30,000 worth of life insurance to pay for it in case I die. I said, okay. So I fixed him up a $30,000 policy, and I always put accidental death in it, which means if he lost his life in an accident, instead of paying $30,000, paid $60,000. Well, got the policy back, and I delivered it to him on a Wednesday. And how I know it was a Wednesday, he said, Jack, he said, come on in. He said, George has fixed breakfast. Come here and sit and eat with me. I'm going to study my lesson for tonight. So I knew he was a preacher then. So delivered his policy on Wednesday, and next Tuesday, his daughter called me and said, Jack, my dad got killed yesterday. I said, what in the world happened? Said he was up under my floor or his daughter's floor doing something. And said, Daddy, said, whatever you did, you knocked the coffee pot line out. He said, well, flip a breaker back in. And just as soon as she flipped that breaker back in, she said she heard him holler, killed him dead. So I'm sure that God was in the arrangement for all them pastors and preachers that I helped there. So I took his wife a check for $60,000, and like I say, delivered that policy to him on Wednesday, and he gets killed the next Tuesday. So there's 3 or 4 things that's happened in my life that how I helped a family, several families, when they really, really needed some help there. So thank the good Lord. I want to thank God for allowing me to be in all these people's houses. I want to thank God for the living that I've been able to make. And thank you for all these people that have bought insurance for me. Because had they not bought insurance, well, the 3 pastors there that had the $100,000 probably would never had any money. So I believe that God was in the arrangement for me, that when I got in the insurance business, He knew that I was going to be able to help a whole lot of people. And thank God I was able to help them. And at 85 years of age today, still helping a lot of people. Let me tell you about another claim that always sticks out in my mind, because this guy never really had what I call a good paying job. He'd pick up dry cleaning, and take to Logan, and somebody would do it for him. He'd bring it back. So he never really had a good paying job, but he worked every day, and for some reason or another, I got acquainted with him. His name was Junior Beckett, James Junior Beckett. I said, Junior, if you got disabled and couldn't work, buddy, what you got coming in? He said, I ain't got nothing. I don't know if I got any Social Security or not. I said, well, let me sell you a disability plan. A disability plan says if you get sick or you get hurt and can't work, my company would pay you $200 a month for as long as you're disabled, even for the rest of your life. He said, you kidding? I said, no. I got to be off 30 days, and after 30 days, it will start paying you $200 a month for as long as you live. He said, I don't know, how much can I afford it? I said, I don't know if you can or not. I said, about $14 a month. He said, what? I said, $14.37 a month. He said, write it up. I don't know how many months or how many years that Junior had the plan. He got disabled. So my company started paying him $200 a month and paid him, I think, for 20 some years. So at $14 a month, $200 a month, what, $2,400 a year? Times 20 is how much? 48,000. So the $14 a month payment that he was paying for the insurance ended up getting over $40,000 out of the policy. So you see, this is why that I feel so happy talking about these things today, because I know how many people that I have helped and how that makes me feel. If you help somebody, it does make you feel good. And when you know that these people could not have come up with $100,000 or $60,000 and so forth to pay the expense, of passing away, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and thank you, God for putting me in the right place to help these people at the same time. May God bless you, and I hope that whoever sees this down through the years and say, I don't remember old Jack Baisden. He seemed like he was a pretty good guy. Well, that's what I hope. People remember me as a pretty good person. May God bless you all. And then with Mutual of Omaha, we won I don't know how many trips to certain foreign countries. And I think we went to Hawaii twice, went to Las Vegas twice, went to Germany, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein, went to London, on and on and on. So thank Mutual of Omaha for the wonderful life that they gave me and my family, because, man, I tell you, without them, I don't know where I'd be today. But with them, we're pretty well off. At least we're both in pretty good health. And just hope and pray that we can live a little bit longer, and I can be a little bit more help to some more people that's bought insurance from me. And now my quilt. He just took a picture of that to put on there. When we went to a tournament, most guys that was running the tournament needed to try to make some money. That's the reason they put the tournament on. And they generally sold a jersey or sold some T-shirts. And I always made sure I bought at least one or two T-shirts to help them with the expense of the tournament there. And ended up probably with 40 to 50 T-shirts. And a year or two ago, Sue Ann said, what are we going to do with all these T-shirts? I'm tired of fooling with them. I'm going to throw them all away. Well, she or my daughter or somebody said, let's see if we can make a quilt out of them. We can get somebody to make a quilt out of them. I said, that's a good idea. So we got a hold of Keith Aggins' wife, Nicole. And that's Nicole said, we got all these shirts. Can you make Jack a quilt out of them? Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we gave them all to her. She took them, and as you can see, the quilt there is beautiful, beautiful. I keep it on my bed the year round. In the wintertime, it's warm, and in the summertime, it's cool. I mean, I wouldn't take nothing for that quilt, because how comfortable it is and how well that she put it together. When you look at it there, you say, man, oh man, she knew what she was doing to put this thing together. So thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Keith, for putting that quilt together for me. My youngest son, Mick, works on the railroad, and he was supposed to be here today, and I want to talk a little bit about him. When we lived in Huntington, Mick, that's where Mick lived, or where he lived in Huntington. Mick was a young kid at that time, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years of age, I'm not sure. Well, Mom, when he was born, I was a fan of Mickey Mantle back then, because I was playing softball, and Mickey Mantle was one of my heroes. So I told somebody, I said, I'm going to name Mickey Mantle Baisden, which we didn't, but I said told somebody that's what I was going to do. Well, we were living in Huntington, and Mom came to Huntington, Mick's birthday party, or a birthday. So she said, I'll take him and buy him something. So she took him over in Ohio and bought him a ball glove. Well, Mick didn't have no idea, ball glove, so Mom got him one to go on his right hand. Well, he's right-handed, so Mom thought right-handed. So Mick puts the ball game on right-handed, and he started throwing left-handed. So if he had a left-handed glove, he'd throw it right-handed. So Mick was ambidextrous. Very few people you ever know that could throw left-handed and throw right-handed. So anyway, Mick played Little League baseball in Huntington, and I think that his team won the city tournament, and we got to go, I think, to Dalton, Georgia, and play in the Pee Wee Reese World Series. So Mick was on the team, and naturally we went down there and played in the Pee Wee Reese World Series there. Well, eventually we moved back to Logan, and Mick was still in high school at that time. Well, in high school, he was on the first Logan High School baseball team to ever win a state championship. I don't remember what year it was made, where it was, maybe 1990, but anyway, he was on the first baseball Logan High School state championship. And then, like I say, when we moved back to Ohio, or back from Ohio, him and Jackie said, Daddy said, we'd like to play softball. Well, that's when we started our team playing Baisden Recycling. And Jack, I think I told you the story later there when we went to Salt Lake City, Utah, and played in the World's Tournament. Then we got to go to Florida and play the Clearwater Bombers. And while we were down there, Mick hit a ball plumb out of the stadium, and that was one of the highlights of his career, I'm sure. But we were playing some guys up in Ohio, up in northern part of the state. They was a mouthy bunch of guys. I mean, they was just good boys like us. We just clowning, carrying on with each other. And the first pitch of the ball game, Jackie hit the leadoff batter right in the ribs. Well, I don't know if Jackie done it intentionally or not, but it was just almost a fight for the rest of the ball game there. Well, Mick was batting fourth. That's where you always put your cleanup hitter. Well, first time up, I think they struck him out. And boys, hey, you mean to tell me this all you guys, the guy putting this guy in your fourth position, lead off your cleanup hitter? Well, Mick was getting madder. Well, the next time he was up, Nick popped out. And boys, I tell you what, we ain't got no problem with this team today. If that's all they got, if it's your cleanup hitter, they're in trouble. Mad, the more that we played, the madder Nick got, and they just keep getting on him there. And finally, I think the third time up, the guy throwed one in there, and Mick hit a ball. It was 260 feet to left field. And there was another game going on that other field, and we had a guy that was standing there. He said that he saw right where the ball hit. So Mick went down there, and he said, right here, Mick, where your ball hit. We went back there for the fence at 260, and Mick walked off 120 steps. That was 380 feet. And when Mick went around the base, he said, that's the reason they got me a batting fourth. See that there? And at 380 feet, that might have been in the upper deck. They'd been out of Yankee Stadium. So Mick was a good ball player. And probably, if we would have lived in Florida, California, some of these places to where they could play like the year round, Mick could probably made it into the majors, because Mick, he had that old ferocious desire, he had the ability, and he could have probably maybe been a Mickey Mantle second there. In 1993, we had won the state championship. Jack Jr. was playing, Mick was playing with us, and that was our last state softball championship fast pitch that I won, and happened to be with Jack and Mick and me and some other young guys. And that's the time then at 93 or 94 is when the fast pitch kind of died away or whatever. And Red Jones, want to give Red Jones all of the credit for helping me. When the fast pitch died up, they called me from Charleston, some of the boys I had played with, said, Jack said, how'd you like to go to the Senior Olympics? I said, man, I'd love to. What are you talking about? Anyway, they told me what it was all about. And Red Jones was our manager. And we went to 7 Senior Olympics with Red Jones doing He was our coach, our manager. He would get rooms for us. Whatever we needed, Red would do the job for us. So I want to thank Red for all of the 20 years pretty much I played in slow pitch. 20 years. Red Jones. Red, I know you're still alive because I just talked to you the other day there, but I want to thank you, buddy, for all that you did for our softball team. And in addition to the 7 Olympics that we went to, we won when we were 65. Back then, the age was like 65 to 69, 70 to 74. So you're always playing against somebody within close to your same age. So when I was 65, we had, I think, 7 guys on the team that turned 65 that year. So we had a young team, based 60 to 65 or 65 to 69. We won 4 world tournaments, and I was most valuable in 2 of them. So I got 4 rings. I think you showed them over here on that 4 rings. So Red, thank you, buddy, for all that you did for our softball team, man. I appreciate you more than you know, and I hope and pray that your wife gets a little bit better. But based on her condition, her age, I know that she probably don't have a long time to be with you. So may God bless you and your family, buddy. We love you and appreciate you. So I think that's my story. I think that was everything I can think of right now. I want to thank God, like I say, for giving me the health and giving me everything He gave me. Thank Mutual of Omaha. Thank my family. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. I also really, really want to thank Jack and Laura for all that they did for my grandkids. Nicholas and Nathan, as I told in the early part of the interview, that we were able to take them to the ball games. I think the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I think they did something for them to send them maybe to Hawaii. But Jack and Laura, with 25, 30 years, Jack, thank you guys for all that you did for them boys. I know you sacrificed a lot, but any sacrifices you guys did, I'm sure you was happy that you done it. So now, by taking care of them boys the way you guys did, look how God is blessing you guys today. With your business, look how things are going for you today. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Hey, before we close, I want to thank the man here to doing all this for me, but I want to thank 2 or 3 other people before I really close, and that's my sister, Shirley. My Shirley is 2 years older than me, stays healthy, stays on the ball all the time, and if you want somebody to help you do something, call Shirley. If you're sick and in the hospital, need somebody to sit with you, call Shirley. And another thing about Shirley, about every Sunday after church, she'd go down to the nursing home and visit with people. So thank God for Shirley. She's in good health, and she also holds a place with the Women's Club. And then just a year or 2 ago, she started something with Women's Club called the Pumpkin Show, Pumpkin House. So shortly, down at Logan, there'll be a bunch of kids be able to carve out a pumpkin, put their name on it, whatever, put their name in it, and some of them will win a prize. So Shirley, thank you, honey, for being such a good sister. And then my brother Tennis. You can't beat Tennis. My brother Tennis may be in the house now trying to work on some electricity for me, but he's the one that, when it comes to hillbilly days over in Paintsville, Kentucky, him, my brother John, was always over there for a week. He really, really enjoys going over there and helping with the crippled children. And if you want to go 4-wheeling, call Tennis. And up to church, if there's anything that need to be done, call Tennis, because he's there almost every day, every night, directing traffic. So God bless my brother Tennis and Shirley. And then my younger brother Jerry. Jerry married, well, matter of fact, he went to college, got out and married Maria Riccio. They moved to Myrtle Beach about 40 years ago. They have 2 children, Chris and Nina. Nina is a traveling nurse. Chris is a salesman, real estate salesman in Myrtle Beach, and they got 2 grandsons. So I'm sure that Jerry is tickled to death now living in Myrtle Beach to where he can play with them grandchildren. And I wish Jerry would have stayed around here. Instead of going to Myrtle Beach, I wish he'd have stayed around here a few more years, because he could have played on the softball team with Jack and Mick and me, and we could probably win another state championship. So Jerry, you missed out on a good time. Me and Jack and Mick played about 15 years together. So God bless my brothers. And then somebody else. I want to thank Gary White and Joanne White for what they have done for my grandsons, Jack and Laura. Jack and Laura, I mean, they're just great, great people to help. And Joanne, Gary, God bless you guys. Thank you. I really do appreciate you there. And one other guy, Russ Trickett. Russ Trickett lives up in Grafton. And Russ was like me. He enjoyed fast pitch softball. And he kept fast pitch softball going up there probably 30 or 40 years. And he always had a good team. And he had a field up there. And 2 or 3 times a year, we would go up there in a tournament. He always had a good tournament, everything was just great. And we had a chance to meet a lot of guys and play softball. And if it hadn't been for Russ Trickett, we'd had to quit playing softball 15 or 20 years ago. So I do appreciate, Russ, all the things that you have done for fast pitch softball. And now I hate to say that fast pitch for men has died. There's not a fast pitch team as I know of in West Virginia. And when Russ and me played, I guess, our last state tournament a few years ago, we had nobody to play. So Russ, thank you, buddy, for allowing us to be able to play another 15 or 20 years. And, you know, as you get our age and you know that life is coming to an end, the sad part about it now is we've outlived almost all of our friends. And I can remember when we'd get together, we'd have Clovis Adkins and Tommy Rose Thomas and Maisel and Darrell and Ted Murray and Scott Ellis. We'd get around and talk and laugh and carry on and tell tales and so forth. And now life is so dull. All of those people are gone. So you young people to listen to this, enjoy your friends while you can. Because there'll come the time, if you live as long as I have, you don't have as much fun as you used to be because so many of your friends are dead and gone. But I'm about ready to close and say, Lord, thank you for all that you did for us. Thank you. And Mutual of Omaha, thank you for all that you done for us too. And Darrell Maynard, Darrell, thank you, buddy, again for all that you did. And Red Jones, thank you, buddy, for the last 23 years of slow pitch softball. Thank you, buddy. God bless each and every one of you that sees and hears this. I know that I've talked pretty fast and I'm sure I've missed somebody, but thank the good Lord for 85 years and thank the good Lord for all of the years that I was able to sell insurance. And thank you for all the people that bought insurance from me. As a matter of fact, just today, before I close, one guy I had sold a life insurance plan to about 50 years ago. I saw him today and I didn't recognize him. He said, Jack, you know who this is? I said, I sure don't. Bobby Miller. I'd sold him a $100,000 life insurance policy probably 40 years ago, he said. And I put what's called on our waiver of premium, which means if you get disabled and can't work, then the premiums you don't have to pay after 6 months. He says, Jack, your company has been paying my premium for 40 years. So things like that is the reason it's made me so happy to have been in the insurance business for all of those years. So God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for those. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. So this was my life, Jack Baisden. What a great life. This was my life. Thank you, Lord.